Yeah, the word higher couldn't get any higher, means something completely different in my industry. Well, thank you, really. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, your Lego-ness, truly great company. Well, I've learned a lot over the last couple of hours from the Chancellor and the discussion at the table, Winnie and everybody, and listening to Mark talk, and you know, it's both exciting for me and kind of to be in this room, but also sort of humbling, because I'm late to realizing that, you know, it's you guys, it's the private sector that's really, it's commerce that's going to take the majority of people out of extreme poverty. And as an activist, I almost found that hard to say. And we were like, yeah, who are those people over there? And then we realized we can't do anything without you as activists. And so I just wanted to say that this is the right room to be in, and I'm very proud to be here. Now, the thing that I also like to talk about is what I do, what we do, and because it seems that consumerism is changing, and people are realizing the power they have in their pockets. They vote when they make a purchase, and they vote for your brands, or they don't. And these days, people are waking up to that power they have in their pocket, and they want not just value. It seems they want values. And if you're here in the room, you're probably very aware of that and feeling that. And it's good news for us at the One campaign and Red. Now, the One campaign, which myself and Jamie Drummond founded all those years ago, has now 7 million members around the world. 3.3 million of them in Africa, Jim, which is really very proud for us. Yeah, awesome. And these are people who hold their governments to account. Chancellor Merkel has certainly heard from us in Germany. And actually, can I just divert and say, that was kind of incredible the last couple of weeks to see what this woman and her country did about the refugee crisis. Really, the kind of leadership we haven't seen on the global stage for a long, long time. I want to just thank you, Chancellor Merkel. Oh, you're wrong. But you know, when government is doing the right thing, we have their back. When they don't, we're in their face. Our members put issues on the agenda, like our Poverty is Sexist campaign. We've got 1 million signatures that we're going to deliver to the SecGen later today. Poverty is Sexist. It's really great. If you see it, there's a lot of incredible women doing this strengthy pose. I think we might be seeing the First Lady do it in Central Park in a couple of hours. I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of scared of her anyway. You know, there are lots of ways that we work with the private sector to get our message out, and we'd love to talk to those here today about how we can do that more. As with governments, when we look at the private sector, we see good stuff and bad. But for me, capitalism is, of course, not immoral, but it is amoral, and it needs to receive our instructions. If we look at the extractive industry, it is an incredible thing for us to discover. There's a new proverb in Africa, Jim will tell it to you. Pray that we do not discover oil. And because people on the ground understand the kind of people that attracts. And we've worked hard to get laws passed in the US and Europe that require companies to publish what they pay to governments for mining and other extractive industries. And I personally feel it's a scandal that 5 years after the Carden-Lugar amendment to Dodd-Frank, the legislation has still not been enacted here in the US. And I enjoyed an opportunity to talk with Patrick Quayan of Total about the reasoning. As a European, can he help us understand this American mindset? The API are blocking what is told to us by our colleagues as more important than anything we will ever work on. to fight against corruption, because corruption kills more kids than malaria. Everybody knows that, and everybody knows where corruption lives, and it's in these numbers that are not disclosed. And so we thought this was a very simple thing. The Publish What You Pay Coalition got behind it and succeeded to get it through Congress, got it through the SEC, and then the API wakes up and says, no, we don't like that. And that, I think, gives the oil business a really bad name. And there are great companies out there, and Tullow Oil, I might add, Irish people. But there's some great ones out there. But we need more. And I was just saying at the table in the discussion with Chancellor Merkel, we're quick to blame the South, but this injunction I'm talking about sort of reveals our complicity north of the equator in corruption. Anyway, I'm proud that Europe has moved forward, and I hope the US will catch up. So here we see the private sector as part of the problem on this, and we'd like to see the private sector become the solution, like Statoil and Tullow, and sounds like Patrick Total are right behind these ideas. We want to see that. So then we have this other thing called RED, which some of you might have heard of. We see companies as part of being the solution of the AIDS crisis. RED has raised $324 million for the Global Fund. That's $324 million from the private sector. You are paying for the Global Fund, so I want to thank you for that. It's a bigger contribution than most governments have paid. It's very simple. Companies create special RED products. Consumers buy them, and by doing that they support the fund, specifically to stop mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Now, the businesses who partnered with us at RED are incredible, but we also have artists and DJs, and the heat that RED creates is often as important as the dollar amounts, because that's what makes it a political priority. And I remember a lawmaker who remained nameless in the United States Congress saying, I'm not feeling it at home, this AIDS thing. I'm not feeling it. So having these giant companies be in their local shopping malls, they're starting to feel it. And so that's good. I also want to pick up on something Mark mentioned. Perhaps the greatest symbol of openness and transparency, which is the theme of today, is indeed the internet. And Mark was talking about that, and without Mark, there might have been something the world missed in the global goals. It's Target 9C on connectivity for all, and our campaign and many other activists and players have signed a declaration today to get us all to hurry up on that. It's really important. Somebody else at the table was talking a really simple thing, little tiny technology. It's called IPaidAbribe.com. And it's such simple stuff, but just crossing borders, truckers are able to announce, we were stopped, this is how much we had to pay. It's just, you can see this transformative power of technology, turbocharging this revolution in transparency. So that's a great thing, because if corruption is the biggest illness that business faces, there's a vaccine, and that is transparency, and we all need to be vaccinators in this transparency revolution, and so we should all consider ourselves to be, if we're supporting this transparency revolution, frontline health workers. That was my joke. It was really funny earlier when I wrote it. It's funny how when you read the things later, it's funny. Anyway, as we push for transparency, we know we need better data. We have a data crisis in global development. It's a pretty uncomfortable truth. A third of births in the developing countries aren't even registered. So those children legally do not exist. And that's just the start of the crisis. So we need a data revolution so that citizens can have in their hands the real tool to shape their own future. This is really exciting bit, by the way. It's pretty wonky, and some people go, data revolution. But we're actually finding the private sector very, very excited, because you have to measure what you do. You're empirical by nature. And when you get into development agenda, things can get a little huggy, a little the wishy-washy feeling, and we should all be careful of this in the next few days. And even Jamie here was getting all hippie on me about the atmosphere around. I'm a bit more punk rock about this. I want to be able to measure shit. And so if these global goals aren't measurable, they don't mean anything to me. And but I think that's what today's about, making sure that we develop these kind of indices. Okay, final thought on this is, like everybody, I am thrilled when companies make a giant profit and give it away as a public good. But really, what inspires me, intrigues me, enthralls me, is when companies are a public good. And that's really the calling. And I can see that in the room and feel that in the room. It's just an amazing thing. And, you know, it is inspiring. I meet politicians and you see them worn down by their daily toil. But they became politicians for the right reasons often. Sometimes they forget it along the way. We've got to wake that up. All of you in the private sector, you're leaders, and we need leadership. It's the rarest resource of all. And I think when we look at the global goals, I think of all the naysaying you're going to hear in the next week. And everyone's going to think you drank the Kool-Aid and you dropped whatever it is, pills, and you're on the happy pills. You come back from New York, you won't believe the atmosphere in Central Park, and we're all going to change the world. People are going, or worse, you know, we can't get organized on the refugee crisis, and we're talking about these global goals. When that happens, I always think of a line Nelson Mandela said, "It is always impossible until it is done." So that is